My name is Dr. Linda Levine Midori. I've been here working at the college. This is going on my 26th year in the program of therapeutic recreation. I am happy to be presenting today two alumni who graduated the program in therapeutic recreation. And to start, I'd just like to give you an overview or a description of what is therapeutic recreation. And in our world today, therapeutic recreation is a healthcare profession that you are really working with someone in a person-centered relationship. And the recreation therapists here at the college learn how to use creative arts, sports, exercise, even go into Tai Chi and yoga to help people in rehabilitation or habilitation. So you will be learning about these two alumni who really are at the different ends of the lifespan. We have Victoria, who is working with the autistic population, and we have Amanda, who is working with the elderly population. And that's the wonderful thing about this field. You can go into it and work with any population across the lifespan. So if you choose to work with developmentally disabled or well people, it is very well needed in our society today, therapeutic recreation. And I think, actually, it's because of COVID and everything that happened with the shutdowns in nursing homes and hospitals across the United States. We have found that people really do need socialization and we need interaction. And so since 2017, I'm happy to present to all of you that every student we've graduated has gotten a full-time job. So it's looking to grow. I saw that Shannon gave me this statistic here that I was unaware of, that the employment is looking to grow 20% for the next 10 years. So it's a good field to get into. And I spoke a little bit about how it parallels with psychology and people looking to get into the service of other people. So with that, I want to introduce, should we start with you, Victoria?
Sure. I graduated this past May in 2022. I played on the basketball team here. I now work at Shrub Oak International School in Westchester with the autistic population. They range from about age 8 to I think they accept up to 30 years of age, but I think the oldest is 25.
Yeah.
They're great. They all have autism, but they have a lot of other behavioral issues. So every day is different. Nothing is structural. That's the one thing that I learned. I really enjoy it. So they live there. So they go to school from about 7:30 or 8:30 to 3:30, and then I start my day with them from 3:30 to about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So I work in the evening. Doing activities with them, just since this is their life, this is what they do every day. I'm just basically spending time with them and getting to know them and helping them through certain social and emotional challenges that they have.
Good. And one of the things I didn't say was that when the students graduate from our program, they're eligible to sit for the NCTRC exam, which you study for. Some people actually get tutors to help them study for that exam. But you can be hired within a therapeutic recreation program knowing that you're eligible. So Victoria is very dedicated to studying right now for the exam and hopefully pass and get her CTRS, which then makes you eligible to supervise students and interns, which is exactly what Amanda has done. You graduated a year or so ago, wasn't
I
it?
graduated, so my name's Amanda Kytherotis. I'm a certified therapeutic recreational specialist along with a certified dementia practitioner. I graduated St. Thomas Aquinas College back in 2020 when COVID hit.
Yeah.
It was March of 2020, school shut down, I had 3 months left.
And we had very sad conversations about graduation being canceled.
Yeah, I was the virtual graduation class. So I graduated with my BA actually in art therapy, and I minored in therapeutic recreation. And I went back in 2020 of the fall to be eligible to take my certified therapeutic recreational specialist exam. which I did not pass the first time, I will disclaim, but I did the second time around. It was a very difficult exam, you really have to study for it, but it has helped me get to where I am today. So I'm the Director of Recreation over at the Promenade at Blue Hill in Pearl River, New York. So it is both an assisted living and memory care facility. It's very small. It's divided into two sides. I'm in charge of the AL population, assisted living population, along with the memory care side as well. So I implement and I adapt activities to the residents' needs.
Excellent. And she's also now being part of our research group that goes over to the Promenade.
Yes.
And she's supervising students interacting with the residents on a one-to-one basis.
Yeah, which is great because Katie actually worked there maybe a year or so ago.
Yeah,
so she was one of our employees.
Yeah, not this past summer, but the summer before.
But the last summer,
yeah.
There's plenty of job opportunities. The residents are so lovely. Yeah, so. You have any questions for me, Doc?
What questions can we ask? Well, we've talked about how to become a recreational therapist. You know, you take the program here, which is a 4-year program. To give you a little more specification, we actually have, the internship is 560 hours in a place. Whichever you choose to go to, we help you find that internship placement. Then really it's up to you. We have jobs available. I actually was telling Victoria this morning, I have 4 jobs on my desk, sending them out to people that I know. So if you're interested in part-time work or working on the weekends, please let me know, because there's a lot of facilities who are really looking for students. Matter of fact, this coming month of October, we have 4 professionals coming to my classes to speak to you about opportunities in Bergen Regional Medical Center, which is now Newbridge. We have the VA hospital coming in October to speak to the students, as well as Briarcliff Healthcare Manor, which opened up about 4 years ago in Westchester. So there's a lot of speakers coming in to talk about, opportunities for all of you if you're interested.
I can touch upon the opportunities as well. So I actually got my internship over at the place that I work at now. So I went from being an intern to director in the span of 16 to 18 months. The job opportunities are endless in this field. I started off working there, intern 4 months, halfway through my internship. The executive director comes up to me, offers me a job there as a rec specialist. I was overjoyed because I loved working with the gerontology population, and working with dementia patients and dementia residents takes a lot of patience, takes a lot of time, but I love the altruistic reward of working with them.
And service.
Yeah, every day is a new day. Katie can touch upon that as well. Like, she would know she was working in our memory care unit, and every day was a new day.
Yeah,
it really was.
It was great.
Yeah, so there are job opportunities right now. Actually, I'm actively hiring, whether it's part-time, if you want to even volunteer there, or even full-time work. I know you guys are all in school, but I did bring my business cards along with our newsletters, so you can see the activities that we do all throughout the day, which touch upon everything that Midori is going to talk to you about: their physical needs, their cognitive needs, emotional, social, and spiritual needs. So we do that all throughout the day with them. But the opportunities are endless. So.
Good. Questions from you? Anyone have some questions? Do you want to share with us, Katie? You're a student here studying, and do you want to share your experience?
Yeah, sure. So I am I major in occupational therapy and psychology, and I'm now minoring in therapeutic recreation after I worked at the Promenade of Blue Hill with a bunch of lovely people like Amanda, and it was great to get the experience to work with the geriatric population, as I found it very, very rewarding, and I felt like I was able to make a lot of great connections, and like Amanda said, every day is different, but just the relationships that you build with the residents is so great. Everyone, of course, has their own different personalities and interests and stuff like that, and it was just a great time overall. I'm definitely gonna hopefully go back, and I think I'll definitely use therapeutic recreation, and I'm really thrilled to hear about the many great opportunities, about how flexible the field is, and just you can work with so many different populations, which is great. So it's great to hear about both of your experiences.
Yeah, it really is wonderful to report that this field really does allow you to really bring service into the community, which is so needed. We are all living in a world, and I touched upon this the first week of this class, where we're living longer. You know, the normal population now, man and woman can live into their early 90s, and it's suggested that your population might live well over 100 years old. And we're also living well. So people are going into their 60s and 70s, not retiring, continuing in the workforce, and if those people need rehabilitation of some sort, whether it's arthritis or they break a bone, therapeutic recreation is really required by the state. So it's something that's really interesting for all of you to know, that in the medical world, every 40 patients they have in the hospital setting, it's required to have one recreational therapist. And that's been really wonderful for the field, the growing of the field. So what does it look like for the future? This is one of the questions that are, what does therapeutic recreation look like for the future? And I would say that really we're looking to grow, and hopefully there'll be people like you sitting in this classroom coming into the field of therapeutic recreation, and whether it's working with children or with adolescents, adults, the field of addictions has grown tremendously. You know, the middle-aged people who might have addictions with alcohol or drug abuse, that's another area that we go into in therapeutic recreation. So I hope that this really has made an impact with some of you as to what is available in your future regarding this field.
You know,
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm Dr. Murray, I'm the provost. I haven't met all of you yet. So thank you both for coming. I'm nothing better than hearing from alumni, nothing better. When did you know, maybe a question for each of you, like when did you know that this was what you wanted to do? Was this something you've always wanted to do, or did it click when you got here? Like, what was the day like when you realized, oh, this is for me?
Good question.
I remember my day, actually. So like I said, I was majoring in art therapy, and I always knew, like deep in my heart, I just wanted to help people. Like, I love the altruistic reward of helping people. It gives me purpose in life, essentially. But you know, the art therapy field, it's growing as well, but I wanted to do more. So I believe it was my sophomore year. I didn't pick a minor yet. You know, it was my sophomore year. I was scrolling through the course catalog, and I see therapeutic recreation, and I'm like, what is that? I had no idea.
And it's a T, so it's very at the bottom.
It's all the way at the bottom. Like art
Yeah.
therapy's at the top, because with the A, T's all the way down, and I was scrolling, and I said, wow. You know, like, I want to learn more about this. So then I contacted Dr. Levine Maduri, and, you know, I sat down in her office one day. She kind of explained to me what it was. It was very similar to art therapy, but it allowed you to do more. And she was explaining to me about how the job opportunities are endless. So I said, you know what, like, let's make this my minor. And then we were talking about future as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was saying, well, if you want to take the exam, this is the course that you have to go. She really helped me with that. I ended up taking classes over the summer as well. You know, like a lifespan class. I needed all my psychology courses. So I just really grinded. I really worked hard. So I ended up majoring in art therapy, because that gives me an outlet and opportunity to go get my master's in art therapy, along with the certification, which I already did achieve. So, you know, ever since that sophomore year, I minored in that, and then I come back a 9th semester and I do my internship, and the opportunity presented itself halfway through my internship to get where I am today. So thank you, Doc.
And you know, I have to say it's come full circle, because yesterday when I came into the facility she's working in with 6 of my students, I hugged her and I said, look at how this came full circle. I remember the years ago saying, you can be a supervisor, I can bring you students from the college, and here we were. It really did happen. You know, it took 3 years from A to B, but
Right.
it was wonderful to have that full circle feeling. And it's just been, for me personally as a professor, it's just a wonderful field to teach in, because you do go out there and become a peer of mine. You know, you go from students to being my peer. And that's a wonderful, you know, level of relationship that we build. And then you take students on. So I'm actually taking students to Shrub Oak next week, and Victoria will be there supervising along with myself.
What was it like for you, Victoria? What was your journey?
I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do, to be completely honest. I feel like a lot of people are in that same ship when they come to school. But I knew I wanted to work with children, and someone told me about this major, because I, again, had no idea what it was. And I don't think there was a specific point where I was like, oh, okay, this is exactly what I want to do, this is for me. It was more so every course you take throughout your 4 years, I was more and more confident that like, oh, this is something that I could totally do for like the rest of my life, or like for a long time in the field. But it was very interesting because we talked about how many psychology courses that we have to take for this major. I wanted to you can minor in psychology with the amount of courses that we have to take for this major. So it brings it all together. Like, for example, I played on the basketball team. It brings in all the skills that I've had to do throughout my life. Like when I'm at work, like I play basketball with the kids. Like that's fun. Like that's fun to me. That's not necessarily a job for me. I get to go to work and I'm excited. So it's very interesting.
And there's a great saying, if you pick a field that you like, you'll never work a day in your life, right? Because each day you look forward to, and it's not like work.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding.
Being a rec therapist in the field, you're constantly on your feet. So if you want a desk job, this profession is not for you. If you want to have fun, this profession definitely is for you, because I wake up every morning and I look forward to going to work. I look forward to seeing my residents. You know, some of them may not recognize me or remember who I am, but you know, it's that sense and that connection that you build with the residents that is just always there for me, and it gives me that motivation to go in every day. So it's really nice and rewarding and fun. Who wants to? I don't even look at it as work. I look at it as like going to have fun every day. So
That's good. That's really good.
So I'm going to commandeer a little bit. So to the rest of the class, you guys are doing the right thing, right? I'm the provost, so my job is I'm in charge of the everything academic at this college. And this is 101, right?
Yes.
So, and how many in here freshmen? Are you all freshmen? Mostly freshmen?
No.
No? A mix?
Mix, yeah.
The reason we offer this class, and classes like it, is because you just heard their stories. Part of your experience here is, I'll just say, shopping, right? You got to look at a lot of different majors that you may never have heard of. And it doesn't mean you're in this class, you're going to be in that field, but you're sampling a lot of things. We have a lot of people here, maybe 60 out of every 60 students in every freshman class are undecided, they're undeclared. And this is the perfect thing to do, to take classes like this, to just see, this might click, what they're telling you might click, or what Dr. Levine Midori tells you about it might just say, I see myself doing this. It doesn't have to work out that way, but now you have another skill set, you got more knowledge, it's not a waste. But that's why we offer these kinds of 100 level classes, because a lot of people find their path when they're at college. Mm-hmm. Right? We have some students who come here, and they wanted to be a teacher since they were 5 years old. We have some students who wanted to be an accountant because mom and dad are both accountants, and that's what I want to do. But a lot of us are trying to figure that out, and these kinds of classes, I think, help give you some information about a field you may never have heard about. So good for you for all being here to expose yourself to this kind of, to new fields that you may not know anything about. So that's the first thing. The second takeaway is internships. And we have Shannon's back there, and she's going to help you do this, because I think it was Amanda who said internship got her the job. I hear that. How many times I hear that? Hundreds and hundreds of times. The internship got me the job. So put that in the back of your head. Find an internship in your major and work with the career team, and that's the first step. That's the first big step. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Excellent. That's excellent. The one thing I'll underscore is that in talking to a number of people in the real world, they often say that it's one professor, one person who actually changed their path and created a whole new way for them to go. So regarding Dr. Murray is absolutely right. They're taking these classes, listening to professors, coming in and speaking, whether it's to me, my door's always open, or some other professor. You know, it just takes that one person to spark an interest for you, to change your life. So, thank you. Yeah.
Can you tell us more about you mentioned you're looking to fulfill emotional, spiritual, social when you design your programs, I imagine. Can you explain that to us, what that process is to design a program or to meet those needs? Like, exactly what does it look like?
Okay.
Because I know nothing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Tell them about the case study and an assessment.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll turn this into one of your other classes.
Go right ahead. They know very well.
So I guess I'll touch upon it first. What we essentially learn in this major is to assess a client, assess a patient, assess a resident, and see what we can do to meet their needs. So when you assess a patient, resident, or client, you really get to talk to them. It's one-on-one. You get to see what they like, what they dislike, what would they benefit from, what wouldn't they benefit from. And then once at least in my profession and in my job now, when I collect that as a whole, I design and I adapt certain activities to essentially meet their needs and to improve their overall quality of life. So it's really just getting to know that client and working around that, along with getting to know other clients, and then just kind of combining and putting it all together to create intervention to meet their needs and improve their quality of life.
So talk a little bit more specifically.
Yeah.
For instance, the older person who might come in and not be social, right?
Right.
They're antisocial. They've had a tremendous amount of loss in their lives. Maybe they've lost a spouse and a parent and then their good friend. So talk to that about the emotional goal that you might create for that person, because I think that's really what Shannon
Like
is
an
asking
example,
about.
but yeah.
Oh yeah, an example. Okay, so I'll use one of my residents for example. So he ended up moving in a couple of months ago. He lost his wife 2 years ago, due to old age. He came in, he just wanted to completely isolate himself. He wanted to stay in his room the whole day. He just did not want to do anything. So, periodically you can't force anything upon them, but you start to talk to them, you start to get to know them. So, I'd knock on his door 2-3 times a day. I'd say, hey, how's it going? Not too good, and we'll just talk and banter back and forth. And, he'll start walking me around his room, and maybe there's a picture on his wall. There was a picture on his wall. And he shows me this, it was kind of like an old record and what he liked to listen to. He loves Sinatra. So I said, talk about that a little bit. He's like, I would listen to him all the time, and we would kind of go back and forth about that. So when he came out to dinner one night, along with all of the other residents in my facility, I turned on the radio and I started playing Frank Sinatra. And that brought a smile on his face, and then his neighbor across the table from him started, oh, you know this song? You like Sinatra? He's like, yeah, I sing it all the time, and that builds relationships within the community, and it gives me a better understanding to what good social outlets and emotional outlets would be good for him. So, that's just one example on how to maybe touch upon one of their needs. It helped him build up that self-esteem and that confidence to socialize and talk to another resident. And you build it slowly. So I'm still trying to work around and see what works for him, what doesn't work for him. We have sing-along groups. So if I'm playing Sinatra or I'm playing Elvis, I'll invite him out, and that kind of draws attention to him. And he'll come out and he'll talk and he'll socialize. I think it meets his emotional and social needs. So.
The one thing I want to add to this is that research has really shown that if you are involved in something, after 75 years old, whether it be a card game, or whether you do knitting group, or whether you go to, a girls' night out, sitting at a bar having a nice meal, those individuals actually live longer and have higher levels of cognition. So what recreation really is doing is preventing decline, specifically in the later stages of life, to be involved. I mean, we saw during COVID that people didn't have the interaction of their families, and many people passed just because of lack of loneliness. They died of loneliness, not so much even COVID, and the nursing homes.
Yeah, working through the pandemic with that population, it's tough on you emotionally, it's tough on the residents. You see their decline. Like I've been there for 2 years, and a resident comes in, maybe they have like an MCI, a mild cognitive impairment, due to COVID, due to isolations, we've had to quarantine. You see that decline, And it's sad and it's unfortunate, but you always just try to kind of slow down their decline by giving them therapeutic recreational outlets. I had another resident who moved in. Dr. Midori actually met him yesterday. Him and his wife both reside there. His wife, very social, loves to do things. Him, not so much. He always liked to sit in his room. So I start introducing different outlets, different things he may like to do. And this woman calls me up one day and she says, I have 50 puzzles I'd like to donate to the Promenade. And I said, oh great, bring them over. I said, nobody really likes to do puzzles here. That's just not a lot of their niches. Like, that's not something I'd create as a group and as a whole for them to do. He was walking by one day and he saw this puzzle box and I said, you wanna give it a go with me? We'll try to do it together. He said, I guess so, like, I'll give it a try. Wow, these are a lot of pieces. It was a 300-piece puzzle. And he's like, oh my gosh, I can never do this. I come in the next morning, the whole puzzle's complete. And I go to him and I say, did you finish this puzzle? Yeah, I stayed up till 10, 11 at night and I finished this whole puzzle. I love it, you got any more? And now we call him the puzzle man because he now gets out of his room. He doesn't sit in there and watch TV anymore, and he just loves doing his puzzles really all day. And his wife says, I can't pull him away from this table, Amanda, what'd you do to him?
And the room that the puzzles are in are now, Amanda's framed the puzzles and hang them all up. It's like an art gallery of his personal work. So
Yeah.
he's very proud of what he's done, and it's given him a reason to live.
Yeah. And that's
So-
essentially our job here. Like, I even get chills telling this story because it makes me feel so good. Like I said, again, it's that altruistic reward that makes me just feel so good to wake up every day and just try to improve these people's lives.
So can I ask Victoria then, similar, can you give examples? What does that look like with the younger
Yeah, it's a lot
population?
different.
Yeah.
It's not as like traditional. I'm still getting the hang of it. What I can say is that knowing the kid is like very important, and knowing their interests and what they like to do, because you're not going to be able to get a kid out of their room to do, for example, basketball if they're not into sports. Like, it's just you have to adapt certain activities. I can say there's one kid who doesn't really like to do anything. He kind of just stands in the corner, like actually just stands in the corner. But we got him down to go to the life skills house the other day for Rosh Hashanah. They were doing like challah and all that stuff.
The tradition.
Yes. And we got him to go from the 5th floor all the way down to the lobby, and that was like the biggest thing in the world because we got him to physically walk down the stairs. And now he like is more inclined to, like, when you're like, okay, we're gonna go do something, he fights a little bit, but he knows that like at the end of the day, like, you're going, so he puts up a little less of a fight. And it might seem really small, but like every single step is a win, and eventually he might just actually want to physically go on his own. Mm-hmm. So it's very small as far as like building up to the reward, but
And it's slowly changing the behavior.
absolutely.
And, with the autistic population, it's extremely challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely been an experience, but I really, really like it. All the kids are great. And again, I said it's not boring. Every single day is different, so it's been good.
Any other questions? Comments?
I have one more.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned in the beginning that something about requirements in certain facilities to have therapeutic recreation. Can you repeat that or tell us more?
Yes, sure. Well, in New York State particularly, that's what I'm talking about, the hospitals, all of the hospitals, Montefiore Hospital, New York Presbyterian Hospital, they're required by the state to have, for every 40 patients, one recreation therapist. So, in other words, it really reinforces
The demand.
the job and the demand for recreation therapy. And, another interesting research that's come up over the last 5 years is that talk therapy, even though very good in the field of psychology, what they've found is that if you combine talk therapy with an activity, whether it's talk therapy with drawing, talk therapy with a game, talk therapy with, a sculpture program, it actually makes more of an impact in the patient or resident than just talk therapy alone. So now what the trend is, and I've actually trained social workers in therapeutic recreation in using arts in terms of thematic arts programming, because social workers are now more and more using arts in their, toolkit of interacting with residents and patients and children. So it's expanding. The reality of it is expanding.
So then I'm curious, Amanda, with your art therapy major, are you using that experience now?
Or, yeah, definitely. I'll implement programs like paint and sips for the residents, coloring activities, sculpture. I get to use that tool. Like, I don't consider myself an artist, but I picked up a paintbrush since I was 4 years old. I love to paint. I love the arts. So it's great to kind of implement a hobby and something that I love into the work that I do. It definitely gives it a purposeful meaning to me and along with the resident that I'm working with. So it's great.
And it's wonderful if she wants to go for a master's in art therapy, she can do that, on her evening hours. And I didn't get a PhD until I was 50, so, learning is lifelong.
Definitely.
COVID was definitely unfortunate, but it opened a lot of outlets and opportunities to, I believe, college students and people in the work profession like myself, because now everything can be asynchronous and online. If you want to go for a master's program, it can strictly be all online. So it gives you the opportunity to work full time along with going for your master's at night or doing it at your own time. And even if your job allows you to do so, take an hour out of your day at work and just work on a course. So definitely beneficial. Not sure where I know I'm definitely going for my master's. I'm weighing a lot of options, but definitely will get my master's in the related field, whether it's rec therapy, art therapy, social work, just something of the sorts to higher my education. So.
Well, we've just started a master's in health administration, so that could be a
Healthcare administration, yeah.
that could be a possibility.
Track and
Come back
MBA
here.
program. Absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess, do you have any other questions, Shannon?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from you guys?
Jen, no? We've touched it
Well,
all?
I lied, I have one more. For the students, like your advice for students who are either thinking about this possibility in therapeutic rec or unsure, like just general advice for students who are studying wherever they are.
I say my advice is dip your toe in the field. Whether I offer a lot of opportunities, I'm going to give you all my business card along with our newsletter at the facility. If you want to shadow me for a day, if you want to volunteer, if you want to work part-time, and everybody's in college, they have to make money somehow. Like, I am actively offering part-time and full-time jobs. And even if you just want to shadow me for a day, see what it's like. But dip your toe in the field, see if it's what you like. Not one day in the field isn't going to change what you want to do essentially, but it gives you an option and it gives you an outlet. I think really just taking that first step can really help you figure out what you want to do. So.
Yeah, I would say just try to take as many courses as you can as far as like anything. I took French. I don't even remember it, but it was something that I really always wanted to just like found interesting. I won't probably be using it. Actually, maybe. Remember you said you were going to try to take us to France?
Yeah.
But I don't remember it anyway. But yeah, I would say just try to take as many courses. You never know what you're going to like. You might pique some interest that you have no idea. And it might help.
Okay, well, I think they deserve a round of applause.